Apple trees heavily laden with blossom or fruit were once a familiar sight in the Tamar Valley. Each parish and indeed individual orchards cultivated their own apple varieties with distinct flavours, names and colours. Sadly, after years of neglect, changes in farming practice and competition from commercial production at home and abroad, the market gardening industry of the Tamar Valley fell into decline, along with the once flourishing orchards. Today, champions of local apples and community orchard groups come together with enthusiasts and businesses to preserve and restore some of the unique varieties in existing and new orchards. They're bringing people together to celebrate their orchard spaces, helping to re-establish local markets for apple products and shouting about the delicious and varied bounty that the Tamar Valley provides.
I hope you're not allergic to ivy.
A wassail is a traditional celebration after Christmas, usually in January, to chase the bad spirits away, wake the trees and try and get a really nice harvest.
Here we are at the umpteenth Kiln Wassail. We've come to pay our respects to the trees and all the plants here. Hatfuls! Hatfuls! Bushel, bushel, sackfuls! And my pocket's full too! Huzzah! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! And hip hip!
We always seem to get singing the wassail songs and also taking some toast, hanging it in the trees. That's to encourage the birds to come in and protect and feed the trees. And also pouring cider on the roots, again, to help the trees to grow. This one's called Adam's Pearmain. This one's called Discovery. And we're coming back to prune them in early March. To me, it's about connecting the community to their orchard, to their parks, to their allotments, and actually helping them to really understand the importance of caring for the trees, so that the trees are more likely to survive and grow and thrive and create great harvests in the future.
Is that last summer's growth from there upwards? I think the structure of that it's not as good as where you've got a single branch coming off the stem.
We are currently in Buckland Monacorum Community Orchard, overlooking the stunning Tamar Valley in all of its mist at the moment. Our community comes together to celebrate various different events. Pruning in the wintertime, for wassailing in the springtime, celebrate the blossom, and also during the harvest, which is arguably one of the most important times of the year.
I want to keep the fruit on that branch, which is there. It's growing in the wrong direction, so that's going to come out in time. But this summer, why not leave it? Unpruned apple trees will produce apples. They'll produce sporadic, perhaps less of a good quality fruits than if they are regularly pruned. So we're pruning to encourage some young growth, because as with a population, you need to have young blood coming up through. We're trying to spread the branches out so that the fruits will all be allowed to develop well and reduce the risk of disease, spotting of apples, molds growing on apples from poor air movement. Letting the light to sweeten the apples up. And we're trying to encourage trees that have strong branches so they can hold the fruit up. There's lots of reasons really why you prune when you look at it.
In nature, it might be enough for an apple pip to grow into a tree just by itself. But if you're hoping to grow traditional varieties or on a larger scale, there is an age-old technique to produce exactly the type of tree you need.
See the mixed-hill method.
So the reason we graft apple trees is because we're ensuring that the DNA is exactly the same as the mother plant. So therefore we know how the tree is going to perform, what the fruit's going to be like, whether we want to cook her and eat her a cider apple, and we know the quality of the fruit we'll get. So the grafting process, if you say quickly, it sounds very simple. In theory, it takes a little bit more practice than that, but basically you're doing two sloping cuts of about an inch and a quarter, one on the rootstock that controls the ultimate size of the tree, and one on your scion, your chosen variety. And then you literally press them together. We then tie them up with an elastic band, seal them with a grafting wax to stop the cut drying out, and 6 or 8 weeks later, fingers crossed, you've got an apple tree growing. This is one that we've done for ourselves. This is the rootstock, so that controls the ultimate size of the tree. And then the top is our chosen, this one's Cologit Pippin, so we've got our chosen variety on top. you can see where we've sealed it and the buds have started to break. So that's a successful graft, and that one in 12 months' time will be planted out in the orchard here to fill a space.
It's harvest time in the Tamar Valley, but juice and cider aren't the only things people are producing with their apples.
I make a range of apple fruit leathers that are all handmade using traditional apples from our adjacent orchard. The apples will get picked by me, brought in here, washed through. They will be prepared, quartered, put into a pulp, and then they run through our dehydrators and turned into fruit leathers. And where we use the skin, you can see where it's got the fibre content. Some of them we mix. They're all either local or British fruit, so that's blackcurrant. We planted our first trees in 2016. We sell now locally through Tamar Grow Local, and we sell nationwide on our own website.
It's not just commercial businesses which can make products out of their apples. There are now community facilities available in the valley.
It's really important that people realise what they have on their doorsteps. We can take people's apples and press and pasteurise them for them and give them back to them in bottles. From anybody with just one tree in their garden to bigger commercial enterprises. We've got a fantastic new facility, a new clean room, really quick pasteuriser. We can do double the amount that we ever used to do to maintain the growing heritage of the Tamar Valley and our lovely local apple varieties. We buy apples from any sized orchard in order to manufacture our own juice. So the blend of the different varieties, the sharper ones and the sweeter ones, they all go in together. It's always different, but always delicious. Each batch of juice that we make is unique.
It's really important to eat food that's produced locally and that you know the provenance of it, you know where it comes from. So you buy from a local grower, the quality is far better. What you're getting in the supermarket is not freshly picked the day before, is not grown potentially without the use of chemicals, fertilisers. So it's a better quality of food and food miles, all those things that we should consider now in terms of how we eat and what we eat.
Orchards aren't just spaces for humans, they are habitat and shelter for a huge number of insects, birds and mammals. They provide them a food source, not just through their blossom and fruit, but in the trees themselves as well as the ground and hedges surrounding them. And of course, orchards store carbon from the atmosphere in their biomass and soils, helping to mitigate climate change.
Community orchards are a fantastic resource locally. They offer a physical asset in which the community can come together, learn new skills, especially reviving old heritage-based skills, using the landscape in a traditional sense. It's a fantastic place for biodiversity, for wildlife, for encouraging people to learn new things about themselves that they didn't even know.
It's really important to grow apples and other fruit in the city. We need to have fruit available for people and to be able to go out and pick them straight from the tree. They're fresher and more delicious, and they haven't travelled a long way, they haven't been sprayed, and actually they're much healthier for us. Apples for the whole country were much more important in the past, and every farm had its own orchard. The orchard of Plymouth was actually up the Tamar Valley, and the local areas. Families going up the valley to help with harvesting, also apples coming down the valley on the boats, and also more recently when the railway came, coming down on the railway. Local food, local harvest. Always Apples started in 2010 to do apple pressing. We also wanted to get people to grow fruit trees in their local area just around Devonport. The festival grew out of that and has carried on as a way of teaching people to look after their trees, a beautiful community event with all things to do with apples. But there's still so much scope. My vision of the future is every street has their own apple, plum and pear and cherry, of course. So people can go out and pick fruit and harvest and share and celebrate. And it's really part of the culture again, because we've lost that over the last 30, 40, 50 years.
There are dozens of local varieties of apples traditional to the Tamar Valley, but you won't find them in your supermarkets. They're growing in the community orchards in your local area or available from local growers and retailers. Search them out, not only for their unique tastes, but to help support nature, community, and the heritage in your area.